They called me Evan Ross. For 8 years, I worked as a forensic photographer for the NYPD's Homicide Division. I had seen things most people only read about in crime novels, but nothing prepared me for the case that ended my career. It was a cold, wet Thursday night. I got the call around 2 a.m., a possible homicide in a rundown apartment block in Brooklyn. No electricity, no neighbors willing to talk. Typical. When I arrived, the place smelled like mold and iron. Detectives were already there, walking through the rooms with flashlights. One of them, Morales, nodded at me. Single victim. No forced entry. You know the drill, Ross. The victim was a woman in her 30s, pale, barefoot, face turned toward the wall. She looked like she'd been trying to crawl away from something. Her camera was still in her hand, an old Nikon, cracked but functional. I took 37 photographs that night, every angle, every detail. Standard procedure. When I finished, I bagged her camera as evidence and headed back to the lab. That's when it started. The next morning, I went to the darkroom. Developing film is routine. Wash, dry, hang, print. Except there were 38 frames instead of 37. I frowned. Maybe I miscounted. But as the image began to appear under the red light, my stomach turned. The 38th photo showed me, kneeling beside the body, camera in hand. Only I was alone in the room when I took those photos. No one else had a camera. No mirrors, no glass. The angle was impossible. It was taken from behind my shoulder. I checked the negatives, same thing. The number 38 was etched into the strip like it had always been there. I called Morales. He laughed at first until he saw the picture himself. Then he went quiet. Who took that, Ross? Nobody. Then how the hell did you end up in it? We stared at the photo. Behind me in the image, there was something in the dark corner of the room. Something shaped like a person, but wrong. Too tall, too still. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that corner, that shape. At 3:13 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number, one message. Photo 38 is incomplete. No number, no sender, just those words. I went back to the evidence folder. The victim's camera was still sealed in the evidence bag. I should have left it alone, but I didn't. Inside the Nikon was one more roll of film. I hadn't noticed it before. My hands were shaking as I loaded it into the developer. 8 photos total. The first 7 were ordinary. Her apartment, her cat, her art projects. The eighth was the same room as the crime scene, but the victim was gone. Only a dark, human-shaped blur stood where she should have been. And again, in the corner, that tall figure. This time I could see its face. It wasn't a face at all. It looked like a camera lens, reflective, cold, watching. The red light above my head flickered, and in the reflection of the developer tray, something was standing behind me. The darkroom lights went out. Total silence. Then, click, the shutter sound. My camera had gone off by itself. When the power came back, the photo was already developing. Black and white, grainy. It showed the same scene again, the lab, the trays, the negatives, and behind me, the same shape. Closer, I threw the film into the trash and left. But when I checked my phone the next morning, there was a new message. Frame 39 uploaded. Attached was an image. It was me, asleep in bed, taken from the corner of my room. I quit the next day, turned in my badge, my gear, everything. But The department called me back a week later. Morales had gone missing. Last seen reviewing the same case files I'd worked on. They found his camera at the station. One undeveloped roll inside. 39 photos. Sometimes I still hear it, the shutter sound. Soft close. When I wake up at night, I can feel that lens on me, like it's focusing, adjusting, recording. They say cameras capture souls, but maybe that's wrong. Maybe they just keep them. Because last week I found a new folder on my computer. It's called Frame 40, and it's empty, for now. They say the human brain can adapt to almost anything. Noise, pain, even loneliness. But some silences aren't empty. Her name was Lydia Shaw, 32 years old, a freelance writer living just outside Portsmouth, Maine, a small, cold town near the water. She rented a house on Dunning Road, a small, pale blue house that nobody else wanted, because the last tenant never officially moved out. Lydia found the ad online. Quiet, furnished, perfect for writing. The owner offered a cheap price if she could move in the same week. When she arrived, everything was spotless. Too spotless. Even the air smelled staged. There were no personal items, no photographs, just furniture arranged like a memory someone wanted to forget. The realtor handed her the keys and said, "If you hear anything at night, it's the pipes." He didn't meet her eyes. That night, Lydia unpacked, lit a candle, and started working on her new article. Dream Residue: How the Mind Stores Fear. Irony. At 12:47 a.m., she heard footsteps upstairs. She froze. The ceiling creaked. Slow, steady, pacing. She grabbed a broom like a weapon and shouted, "Hello?" Silence. When she checked, the upstairs hallway was empty. But all 3 bedroom doors were wide open. She was sure she had left them closed. On the 3rd day, she found a notebook wedged behind the heater in the living room. Old, water-damaged. The first page read, "If you find this, don't stay past the 5th night." Each entry was written in different handwriting, some neat, some frantic, names, dates, and sketches of eyes. Dozens of eyes. The last page said, "It comes when the power flickers. Don't look at its face." That night, the power went out for exactly 6 minutes. When it came back, her laptop webcam light was on. She didn't own an external camera. By the 4th night, Lydia stopped sleeping. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes, a figure standing in the doorway, a pale shape bending toward her, like a film reel skipping frames. She emailed her editor at 2 a.m. "I think someone's breaking in. The house is different every morning." He replied a day later, "Lydia, what do you mean, different?" She never answered. The next morning, her neighbor, a retired man who walked his dog early, said he saw her front door open, lights flickering inside like a strobe. He didn't go in. The police were called after Lydia missed 2 deadlines. When they entered the house, they found her laptop still recording a voice memo. Timestamp 3:13 a.m. The transcript read,
"Something's in the hall. The power's gone again. It's whispering. I can hear it near the stairs. Oh God."
The file ends there. The police report described no signs of struggle. No forced entry, no fingerprints except Lydia's. Only one detail stood out. All the mirrors in the house had been turned to face the walls, and every screen, TV, phone, laptop, was cracked down the center, as if struck from the inside. The final line of the official report said, "Subject missing, presumed deceased." But a month later, Lydia's editor received a package, no return address. Inside, a flash drive. One file, Dunning recording 06.mp3. The audio begins with heavy breathing, then Lydia's voice, faint and trembling. "If you find this, don't stay in that house. It watches through sound. Even silence is listening." The recording cuts out, and at the very end, barely audible, a second voice whispers, "It's your turn." Some stories don't survive in newspapers. They survive in recordings. In March of 2018, the Whitmore family, Daniel, Claire, and their son Ethan, moved into a farmhouse on the outskirts of Raven County, Pennsylvania. Daniel was a sound engineer, Claire a teacher. Ethan was 8. They'd left the city for a quieter life. What they found instead was silence that stared back. Daniel loved documenting everything. He set up small recorders in different rooms, testing ambient tone decay for his podcast. At first, the tapes caught normal house sounds: footsteps, the fridge hum, wind pressing on the windows. Until night 4. At exactly 3:13 a.m., one of the living room recorders captured something else. Not a sound, a breath. Slow, deep, too close to the mic. Daniel thought it was interference. He deleted the file, but the next night, the same breath came back, followed by a voice. "Don't move him." The recorder shut off by itself. Claire started noticing small things. Ethan's toys moved overnight. Footprints appeared on the basement stairs, too large to be his. When Daniel checked the recorder downstairs, it had captured static, then a single sentence whispered through distortion. "He's already under." Daniel went pale. There was an old root cellar under the basement, sealed decades ago. They'd never opened it. Until that night. It took 2 hours to pry open the hatch. The smell that rose was ancient, damp soil and rot. Claire covered her mouth. Ethan stood by the stairs whispering, "Someone's down there." Daniel shined his flashlight. The beam caught something metallic, a tape recorder. Old, covered in dust, still running. He pressed play. Nothing but soft breathing. Then his own voice came through. "Don't move him." The next morning, the family's security footage showed a blackout between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Every camera glitched out for exactly 60 minutes. When power returned, all 3 were in their beds, but in different clothes, mud on their feet, Daniel's hands bruised, Claire's fingernails broken, and Ethan kept whispering, "We did what it told us." They didn't remember a thing. 2 weeks later, police responded to a noise complaint from a neighbor. They found the Whitmore house empty. Every mirror turned to face the walls. Every light bulb shattered. On the kitchen table, a single cassette, labeled Tape 07, Don't Record Over. When the tape was played, it began with Daniel's voice. "If you find this, we're sorry. It wasn't a person. It comes through sound." A pause. Then the voice of a child. "Dad, it's behind you." The tape ends with a heavy thud, followed by static, then a faint recording of breathing. 3 people in perfect unison. The official report listed them as missing. No forced entry, no trace of struggle. But investigators who reviewed the tapes said they heard something else, deep beneath the static. A low hum, 3 voices blending into one. It repeated only 2 words. Keep recording. If you ever hear breathing when you're alone, don't delete the file. It's already listening. Hey, you. If you're still listening, it means the recording never stopped. Subscribe and keep the sound alive.